8 seasons in the NFL, won 2 championships with the Ravens and the Eagles, and he spent last year with the Carolina Panthers. He's Torrey Smith. How are you, Torrey?
Doing good. How you doing?
I'm good. Let's start with your decision to retire. Where did that come about? How did that come about for you?
For me, I've had a tough year in terms of an injury. As last year versus Philadelphia, I fell down, tore some cartilage up, and I ended up having surgery. And everything seemed like it was going to be fine. And there was a rough period in the off season where, when they told me to rest, where my knee just wasn't getting any better. And somehow, some way, I ended up getting a treatment before going into camp, and I was able to run. I was able to compete, and I was damn near back to normal by the end of camp. And then I ended up getting released. I wasn't starting anymore, and they wanted a four-phase special teams guy. And from there, I kind of had a decision to make. Do you go to another team, move the family, and get ready to play again, which I worked extremely hard to get to that point. Or you just call it a career, because I was okay literally 3 months before that, not thinking I was going to be able to play. So for me, it was like, man, I have my health. It was in an okay place, especially where it was a few months before then. So I was like, it's time just to transition. My son's in kindergarten, and like I said, dealing with that injury. I mean, literally this offseason, I was walking around, and I was struggling to get my daughter out of her crib and walking up the steps, and and all kinds of different things. And kind of it was like a flash of what it could be down the line. And for me, I was like, man, it's not worth risking. It was going to take a lot to get me off the couch, and I decided at the time it was right to move on.
Yeah, I know, and we just saw some photographs taken from your social media of your beautiful family. So you obviously are very wealthy on that front as well. So when it all comes down to it, did you understand when, say, Andrew Luck stepped away and it's like he just didn't? He promised himself he wasn't going to go through rehab in the same way that he did the previous time, and how difficult mentally it is to go through all that? Did you feel some sort of, I guess, kinship in hearing all that, Torrey?
Absolutely. I think any athlete that's ever had an injury, or any person that's ever had to rehab, I guess it's a little bit different when you're in a sport, because you have the reality of, like, will I be myself again in terms of performing at a high level? And for me, I definitely understood it. There's a lot of things that guys have to do just to make it to Sunday. Everyone's hurting. No one feels good. It's week 2, and there's not a single person that feels great. And it's all about making it to Sunday. And that commitment, when you're down, you feel like you're not even a part of the team at times. And, you feel good one day in rehab, and then next thing you know, you take 4 or 5 steps back, and you're like, man, what happened? The body's confusing. So I understood exactly where he was, and I respect his decision. And I hope a lot of guys understand that, and not that you learn from it, that you run away while you can, but, you need to understand that life is bigger than the game, so don't sacrifice and kill yourself now if that's your situation. And you have guys, like I said, I've been, for the most part, healthy in my career, and then I had one routine fall, and it changed everything. If that didn't happen in Philadelphia, like I said, a routine fall on the sideline, nothing serious. Had that not happened, then I would have been playing easily. Whether it's in Carolina or anywhere else, without hesitation. But, when you have that, it makes you think a little bit more.
Torrey Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. Walk me through your decision to retire and the manner in which you retired with the Dear Football letter, LeBron and Mav Carter's platform, Uninterrupted.
Yeah, so originally I was just going to, do like most people, especially this time of year, just post an Instagram post. And I was sitting there, and I was talking with my wife and the folks at Uninterrupted, and they had a platform where they call it Sincerely Yours, where you have the opportunity to express yourself, really kind of in your own words. So my wife was like, "Hey, why don't you just write a letter?" I was going to do more so a thank you note, and she was like, "Well, why don't you just write it like to the game? Then it can be a little bit deeper, a little bit more meaningful." So went to work and just thought about all the different things that the game of football has provided for me, beyond just playing and having a good time, and beyond just finances. It's a lot of deeper things that they go into it, and a lot of life lessons that, I've learned from the game over the years.
So you're not a close personal friend of LeBron's? Is that what you're saying, Torrey? Or I mean,
No, I've never met LeBron
come on
before.
now.
You know, he's one of my favorite athletes, though. I have a wall of fame in my weight room in my house that's going to be done here soon, and
Okay.
his pictures up in there. You know, I have men that I look up to, and then men that I want my kids to respect and know that they do things the right way and beyond the field.
Absolutely.
Or the court.
Yeah, I know. That said, I mean, you provided him with quite high-quality content, Torrey, at the very least. We should get a meeting between you and LeBron down pat, certainly with you. Certainly.
Yeah, you can set it up, man.
Okay.
That's how we're friends.
I just did. How about that? I just did. Torrey Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show. All right, I want to hit you with a couple of topics going on in the NFL. One that's red hot right now is what Paul Feinbaum of ESPN had to say about Cam Newton, and that he doesn't care about other people, was essentially the way he said that Cam Newton is now not himself anymore, injury-wise. I'm wondering what your thought is, having played with him, Torrey.
I think it's very disrespectful to speak on someone's character when you don't know them personally. I'll be the first one to tell you that, and I think everyone knows Cam loves himself, right? And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, that's who he is. He's confident. He loves himself, but I'll be the first one to tell you that he loves his teammates and he loves his family. And he's a great man when you get to know him. I've seen him do some things for so many different kids and so many different people and go out of his way and do things. And I don't even want to tell you some stories because I don't know what he would want people to know, because he does things that people flat out, you don't see. And honestly, you wouldn't expect it out of him. I mean, he even told me that one time. He was like, "See, you thought I was some different type of guy, didn't you?" And it was funny. We known each other, since we came in, but being on the same team, you learn a little more about each other. Even though we worked out in the off season, a few off seasons in the past, it was just a little different. And the way it was with everyone, from a homeless man out there to the next kid or the next businessman, whoever, I've seen him do some great things and try to bring the team together. When you talk about a guy that's a good teammate, the things that he tries to do to keep the guys involved, keep them entertained. Yes, he has his own way of going about things, which probably isn't very traditional in a sense, but what does that matter? I mean, he's been able to perform just because it's not traditional to the norm of how a normal quarterback is supposed to behave, with quotations around that. I mean, he does things the right way. He's prepared. He knows what to do. He works hard. He's going to push the tempo for everyone in that room and try to raise their expectations for their play. So he's harder on himself than anyone else, which is probably what led to some of the things that people questioned him for in the past, because he takes so much pride in his work, and those expectations that he places on himself, when you don't reach that, is very disappointing. So I'm always going to have his back, but I thought it was very disrespectful to speak on his character when you don't know. Ask someone who played with him. And if they tell you that, then you roll with that. But don't just make something up because you had the ability to watch from afar.
Torrey Smith here on the Rich Eisen Show, and then one of the teams that you won your championship with, Philadelphia, and we all know the story that year about how terrific Carson Wentz was, and Nick Foles did his Nick Foles thing, and Wentz went out in the season diving headfirst for an end zone in Los Angeles and hurt his knee. And there he was, Torrey. I don't know if you caught the Sunday night game in Atlanta, diving headfirst again. And it's just totally, I mean, I was stunned. I understand it's tough to change the way you play. Do you think Wentz has the, I guess, the fortitude physically to survive if he keeps playing in this manner, Torrey?
Yes. I mean, it's the NFL. I tell people all the time when they're more concerned about the way you play or the way you move, you can get hurt doing anything. Like I just told you, I ran 1,000,001 routes. I've been tackled 1,000,001 times, and it was one little routine fall that I got hurt on. And I remember when Carson got hurt versus the Rams out in St. Louis, out in L.A., it was a kind of a fluke play. Two guys hit his leg at the same time and twisted in that direction. And obviously he had the back issue last year, and he's that quarterback. They're going to get hit. There's going to be times that you can't prepare for it. So for him, if he sees the opportunity to go get it and win, he's a competitor. I can never see that changing for him.
And then you're an active member of the Players Coalition, correct? On the board member in the
Yes.
task force.
Yes, sir.
So what are your thoughts on JayZ and teaming up in the NFL and the manner in which he did and the conversation surrounding it? Your former teammate Eric Reed has been very vocal on this subject as well. I give you the floor to try and give me the state of what is going on from the Players Coalition.
Yeah, well, I think the first thing to acknowledge is that what the NFL and JayZ did has absolutely nothing to do with the Players Coalition. I mean, we weren't aware. We didn't know any of that. So, and the Players Coalition is just a way that the guys got together to try to figure out a way to work together to help beyond just protesting. And that's why it was formed, and the guys are able to give grants to different charities and other folks who are really doing the work on the ground, doing the real work. And while I think the JayZ and the NFL could possibly lead to some positive things down the line, there's a lot of questions, and there's a lot to question about the way everything initially happened. But the one thing I do know is that it's clearly a business deal in regards to music and those things. But when you have someone like JayZ, he has the power to influence, and not only has he, can he talk about it, but he's lived it. He's lived it. He's been able to talk about these injustices that everyone's protesting about or talking about. He's lived these things. So I don't think you can ever question that piece of it. But obviously it was a business deal. I think if it would have came out like, yes, this is a business deal, and after that, we're going to try to figure out ways to work on things. So you can't rub it all into one because it's not the same thing. And I don't view it that way. Mm-hmm. So I think it's important to acknowledge that. But, I don't know. I'm watching just like everyone else, and I hope that, something good comes out of it. And I know JayZ has that influence. And a guy like Meek Mill, who's one of the artists who's going to be featured that I read, I mean, Meek Mill lived everything that people are protesting about from top to bottom. He's lived it all. So to question someone like Meek Mill or to question someone like JayZ is hard. But, I get it. It seems very, the way things came about, it wasn't the prettiest picture for anyone to see.
So what would you like to see done on the social justice front between players, owners in the league? What maneuver would you, Torrey Smith, like to see employed here for the benefit?
Well, I wish they employed Colin Kaepernick. I think sometimes it's like a black eye to speak on issues or want to support and really change issues when there's a guy out there who has the ability to play, but people don't want to deal with the negative press or the fan reaction that may come from hiring a player that can help your team in terms of talent. So that would be first things first. But to me, I don't view the NFL as the savior of these issues. I believe the NFL has the ability and the platform to educate people, the ability and the money to help those grassroots organizations who are helping people directly, and the ability to influence others to try to do more in their community. That's the value that I see there. But I think it's always going to be hard to talk about the positive things that the NFL is doing. And I'm telling you this, and I'm a guy that if the NFL is doing something positive, I would love to support it because I'm all for helping other people. But I think no matter how long we go about this, it's always going to be hard to not have some type of stain when, a guy like Colin Kaepernick doesn't even get a chance to have a workout.
So where are we going to see you next, Torrey? What's next for you in the couple minutes I have left with you here? What do you got?
Oh, for me, I'll be living back in Maryland, heavily involved in the community in Baltimore. I'm looking forward to being a better family member. Over the years, you kind of, the distance, and I've lived in places that are pretty far from my family. Looking forward to, seeing some of my younger cousins play in their high school games and, to help just being back home, trying to get that together. I know my son's loving it right now. My wife's loving help, but I'm not going to be chilling around too long. Looking forward to just helping, in the community and, maybe joining you on the media side to talk about some things.
Okay.
Who knows?
All right, Torrey Smith. If you ever want any paparazzi time, you know how to get in contact with me. By the way, the Rich Eisen Show here. This platform is yours anytime. It's very rare to see somebody like a Terrapin be able to make it big time and win a championship in Baltimore, and then go to other places and bring winning there through your style and personality and character. I've really enjoyed watching you and the way you've done it. So you have a platform here anytime, Torrey Smith.
Thank you. That means a lot. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Marshall Faulk always told me not to say congratulations to somebody who's been retired. He said, "Why are you congratulating me?" I'm like, "You had a great career." But I'll say it to you. Congratulations.
I appreciate it. I actually believe the opposite of that, because someone said I'm sorry to me the other day. I was like, what?
No.
Sorry for what?
Exactly.
It's pretty cool. Like, all good things must come to an end, and we all know the NFL stands for not for long.
Right.
And I was able to walk off on my own.
Yeah.
I had the option to continue to play, and it was my choice. So don't feel bad for me. I'm just a kid from Colonial Beach, Virginia, who I've been able to accomplish a lot, see a lot, and make a lot of great relationships and some memories that'll last a lifetime. So, if anything, I took more from this game than I would have ever imagined that it could do for me.
At Torrey Smith, WR on both Twitter and Instagram, if you want to follow Torrey and his post-playing career world, as I will as well. Good to chat with you, Torrey. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
You bet. That's Torrey Smith right here on The Rich Eisen Show.
For more of The Rich Eisen Show, tune to Audience Channel 239 on DirecTV for free on BR Live, or download The Rich Eisen Show app.